buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to Game On. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is August the 27th, 2015. And, I talked a bit about the Pope and his visit to America on Tuesday. And I got to thinking, which always makes me ask a question, which always makes me go find the answer to the question. Now, a couple of things came up in my mind after I did that show, and I wasn't prepared for it. I was feeling kind of under the weather a bit. But I got to wondering, why this Pope, this 5'9" Jesuit, is smiling, because you can buy it now. $160 gets you the Pope's core foam board, life-size Pope thing that you can set up and take pictures of your friends with. And but why is this Pope got this dumbass smile on his face with his thumb up in the air? Now, if you weren't in the chat on Tuesday, I'm just going to take a half a second and dump this back into the chat. This is really freaky and really important to understand what's going on here. We know all about the deceptions and that have been applied upon us. Like forever, and but this gets a little bit freaky here. So let me get this page back up. Now, this guy's smiling on his front page here, and I've already lost the page. Well, here it is. The Pope's lifestyle standee. They've changed it. It's been changed. This is weird. This is really weird. Let me go to see if I can find news here. The visit. Official schedule. Philly schedule. Let me go down to the Philly schedule. Because this is a different picture. This site seems to have changed since Tuesday quite a bit. Let me see. Let me back this up and see if I can get what I'm looking for here. World Meeting of Families. Let's click on that. Here we go. Now, get a picture with the Pope. There is the picture I'm looking for. Okay, this is a different one that I see on his other page, but this is the one I'm interested in. Because when you look at this thing, what's going on here? What exactly is this Pope up to, this Jesuit Pope who's coming to America? Now, there we go. Now, if you look at this thing, and if you don't have this, you can just go to, what is the main site here? If you're just listening to this, you can go to www.popefrancisvisit.com. That's popefrancisvisit.com. And, excuse me. So we got this guy, 5'9", with a couple of young girls, with his thumb up in the air, with a kind of a strange smile on his face. Now, they're also selling merchandise here. Now, you have the merchandise that they're going to sell. And we have, a bunch of crucifixes and that. But somewhere down in here, dog tags. I mentioned this. This is what's important. Now, they've changed this site a lot. Maybe they listen to the show. I don't know. There was a whole bunch of different things with dog tags. And now I just see a set of dog tags. Pope Francis dog tags. Maybe we'll get more there. Oh, here we are. We have Pope Francis thumbs up commemorative apostolic journey dog tag. Pope Francis praying commemorative apostolic journey dog tag. And the Pope waving. That was a friendly looking guy, eh? Now, why is a Pope wearing dog tags? Why is the Pope selling dog tags? Or the Vatican, Catholic Church, whatever, selling dog tags. Now, I read something earlier today that the Pope is apparently, when he comes to visit Washington, D.C., going to be wearing dog tags. Well, dog tags are military identification tags. But then he's a Jesuit, which is military. And D.C. is the global military base, just like London is the money base, and the Vatican is the religion base. So he's going to Washington, D.C. wearing dog tags. He's going to the military with his dog tags on. Now, I would suggest that that signifies that he's the head of the military as well. The Pope says he's the head of everything. He's the Holy See. He's a freaking nutcase. But he's coming to America. Why is he coming to America exactly? He's going to come to America and he's going to go to the White House, as far as I know. Where is he going to meet Obama? Now, there's all kinds of talk about Obama not being born in America. There's all kinds of talk about Obama coming from Kenya. Well, that's an interesting connection as well, because Kenya is where Morris Strong, who's the Rockefeller Vatican lackey, set up UNEP, the United Nations Environmental Program. The same program the Pope's all hep up about right now. The same Pope that appointed a scientific advisor who says that we got to get rid of 6 million people on the planet. And this guy's coming to America. And once he's done in Washington, I guess he's headed for Philly and a few other places, but he's going to Philly, the home of brotherly love. He's going to go to Harlem. and he's going to talk to the poor people, because the Pope loves all the little children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white. Geez, this guy's starting to sound like Christ to me. And this guy's coming to America. But this guy is also at the head of the New World Order. And as I've said for many, many years, the only way the New World Order can come to fruition is with the fall of America. That's it. The land of the free. The last free place on the planet. And I've said the only way that they can do that is to get rid of the King James Bible. Because if you go through your history, or we go through our history in Canada, or most any other history, you will find that God is supreme. Well, you can't have a new world order of Luciferians with God in the picture. So they have to get rid of the King James Bible. I mean, there's been so many Bibles after. They've been redone when had the words human and legal and that inserted in it. Those words don't exist in the King James Bible. It's all part of the deception. To slowly work your brain, let you forget what was and accept what is, as they change things around to benefit themselves. And the other thing I said had to fall was the Constitution. As long as the King James Bible and the Constitution stand, there can be no New World Order. Can't happen. So they've been removing the Bible. They've been removing the prayers. Up here in Canada now, you can't say the Lord's Prayer in a school. They've taken it out of the legislature. They've taken it out of the municipal halls. You cannot say the Lord's Prayer prior to a municipal hall meeting here now, municipal council meeting here. So they removed the Bible. They pretty much shredded the Constitution. And now the Pope's coming to America. Interesting. But then I got thinking about the thumb. I mean, why is the Pope standing there with a goofy grin on his face with his thumb up in the air? What is that about? What does that thumb signify? Now, I was brought up to understand that a thumbs up means all's good. Now, what's he signaling? All good? We got everything done? The Constitution shredded and the Bible's gone? Is that what that thumb up is signifying? Apparently not. Because as I mentioned before, I used to use that handle 180 because the world's upside down. I said for years that, you can take pretty much anything you read or see in the media and flip it 180, and then more than likely you're staring at the truth. So why is that thumb up in the air? Well, I've asked myself a question. Now I got to go find the answer. And I can't encourage people enough. Look at things. Ask the question. Then force yourself to go find the answer. This is better than any movie you'll ever watch. This is better than any book you'll ever read. Okay? Because you're living your you're living it. It's not a movie or a book. I mean, you're asking questions, you go and find answers for it. Now, when I was a kid, back in the 60s, I was a kid in the 50s, but In the 60s, we would watch on a rainy morning. You normally were outside playing, but if it was raining or really miserable out, we'd sit in front of the TV on a Saturday morning and we'd watch, war shows and stuff, as they glorified war. And there was no shortage of those things when I was a kid. Selling G.I. Joe shit and that, And we used to play war all the time. And then my uncle came to visit. And he'd been on the front lines all over the place during the Second World War infantry. And I thought, what an opportunity. I'll ask my uncle to tell me all these glorious stories like I see on TV. He didn't want to talk about it. And I pestered at him. And he finally got fed up with me. He said, fine, I'll tell you. And when he was done telling me what he experienced and what he saw, I didn't watch war shows anymore. It's all propaganda to keep you waving the flag, to keep you jacked up to go get the enemy. Go talk to a veteran somewhere, ask him how the war is. I think he'll probably tell you it's not what it's all jacked up to be. So, I go looking for the thumb. When I was a kid, I used to go to the movies a lot. I always liked movies, the underdog movies. Spartacus is one of my favorite movies as a kid. I didn't realize that Kirk Douglas was a Jew at the time. But it was the story, he's trying to get his fellow slaves to stand up. And the slaves are going, lighten up, it ain't that bad. We get fed, we get housed. He said, but you're slaves. Well, it could be worse, So eventually he gets some people together and they're tired of being slaves. Of course, in the end, they get annihilated. And all of these shows have the same ending to them, basically. It's a notification for the slaves, you and I, not to stand up. It could be worse. Well, I don't know what's worse than being a slave and knowing it. Maybe being a slave and not knowing it. But in those movies, in those old gladiator movies, and I'm certain the newer ones, they do the same thing. Once the gladiator has lost, there's usually one guy standing with his foot on the chest of the other guy, looking up into the seats of the arena for direction, what to do with this guy. In all those movies that I ever saw, it was either thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs down meaning kill him. Thumbs up meant let him go. So what exactly is this Pope doing there with his thumb up in the air? It's not a very popish thing, is it? Hi, I'm the Pope, thumbs up. Doesn't make any sense. There's upteen gazillion poses this guy could have done. Why the thumbs up? Well, here's your answer. The original meaning of thumbs up and thumbs down. Now, I spent a fair bit of time rooting around the internet looking for this stuff, and I looked at a bunch of it to see if it had any credence, and it seems to. The original meaning of thumbs up and thumbs down. Juvenal refers to Roman custom of spectator voting on the fate of wounded gladiators with their thumbs. You may think a gladiator would appreciate the crowd's thumb up. Verso police. Police with double L in it. Verso police. But exactly the opposite is true. Jesus, this sounds like my old handle 180, doesn't it, coming up at you? Where we give thumbs up as a sign of approval and then death. to its Roman recipient, much to the crowd's delight. Thumbs down signified swords down, which meant the loser was worth more to them alive than dead, and he was spared, apparently so he could make up for his disgrace the next time he appeared in the arena. Keep this in mind the next time you give someone the thumbs up sign. Our reverse interpretation of this custom apparently was the result of the work of French artist Léon Genon, who apparently understood the Latin verso, turned, to mean turned down, and therefore in his painting, Police Verso, 1873, presents the death sentence with the thumbs down gesture. The painting became so popular that Jerome's mistake became the accepted interpretation, and it's unlikely that it will ever be changed back to the meaning that it had with the Romans. Now, the Vatican is Rome. Scholars before Jerome gave support to the view that thumbs down among the Romans meant the helpless gladiator was to be spared, not slain. The gesture meant throw your sword down. 1601 translation of Pliny equates the gesture with assent or favor, and John Dryden's 1693 version of Javel's satires gives the thumb being bent back, not down, as the death signal. Now, I'm almost done. This almost will finish it. Private investigators spent enormous sums of some staging gladiatorial shows. Now, this is interesting. This part's really interesting because this is nothing different than your ball games, your golf tournaments, your NASCAR races. It's really nothing different. It says here that private investors spent enormous sums staging gladiatorial shows despite attempts by various Roman governments to impose limits. Prisoners of war and slaves were sent to gladiatorial academies for training, and they were hired out for various public and private occasions. The arena shows were often sponsored by various Roman government and private businesses to keep the Roman mobs entertained. The shows sponsored by the governments and put on at a public expense were initially held at the Circus Maximus, Rome's principal stadium for chariot racing. Later, the gladiators were moved into large amphitheaters and posters that listed the combatants' names and the successes from their past achievements. After a few preliminary spectacles, the gladiators got down to serious business. Whenever a combatant was seriously wounded, the presiding judge or referee was called upon to determine whether the man should live or die, depending on how well he had put up a fight. The judge usually based his decision on the desires expressed by the mobs in the stadium, whether they should cheer, applaud, and give the thumbs down if they liked the man, who was then carried away to be treated for his wounds. If, on the other hand, they gave the silent thumbs up treatment, his opponent was given the signal to execute the mortal blow. Now, when I'm describing this thumbs down, I'm not talking about what I saw in the movies where you actually turn your hand and point your thumb to the ground. That's not thumbs down. The historic thumbs down is your hand is up in the normal position, and you open your hand and you drop your thumb into your hand and you close your fingers around your thumb, somewhat like a fist. You hide the thumb. That is thumbs down. The meaning of thumbs up is a signal to strike the fatal blow. So now we got a Vatican, Pope, Jesuit, military order coming to America selling $160 life-size stand-ups of himself with a goofy smile on his face, wearing military dog tags with the thumb up. You got a president sitting there who ain't the president, who supposedly came from Kenya, which is the same place, the headquarters of the United Nations environmental program, coming to America to give America the thumbs up. And the reason I bring this up is that if we don't get on this pretty quickly, what's going to happen here, near as I can figure anyways, is that the Pope's going to be running around giving the thumbs up because his poster has a thumb up and he has a bunch of paraphernalia for sale with the thumbs up. And if he flashes that thumbs up, you can bet your bottom dollar the crowds are going to be flashing the thumbs up as well. Thinking, because they've been deceived so long, thinking, A-OK, everybody, with this Jesuit Pope is signaling the death of America. That's what he's signaling. Make no bones about it. You can't have the New World Order. You can't have a world government till the United States falls. That's a fact. I ain't making that one up. I don't make anything up. So, what I would like to see is I would like to see everyone make a concerted effort to do your best to get the word out on what the Pope's visit here is about. Okay? What I would like to see is people make up life-size posters. You know how they do it on the overpasses, you know, like 9/11 was an inside job and stuff like that? Which is all part and parcel of the taking down of America. You see, there's nowhere left to go, people. Your forefathers left their lands because they lived in a feudal system. They were under the thumb, so to speak. And they left those lands because they were desperate for freedom for themselves and their families, and they were willing to go into the bush and break it open and clear the fields. I mean, these people busted their tails. Just think about it. No tractors, no cranes, no go to the hardware store and get a hinge. You made everything. You manufactured everything yourself. You grew food. You looked after the animals. I mean, these people lived hard. Why would you do that? They were looking for freedom. And American Canada was supposed to be the place you could go for freedom. The right of property. They thought it was the right of land. They got hoodwinked on that one as well. They were offered a bundle of rights called property, which is another one of these damn fictions they've been plying on us for so long. But regardless of that, the reason they came to these lands was for freedom. And there ain't nowhere else to go. This is it. Now, why do you think they want the Confederate flag gone? The Pope's coming to town. The Confederate flag is a rebel flag. It's a flag of freedom. And they don't want it around. Because this is about the end of freedom in America. And it's very important that we do everything we can to notify people before the Pope gets here of what the Pope's up to. And to make sure people understand what this thumbs up thing means. I would like to see when the Pope gets here, that when he lands here, there's all kinds of cutouts with the meaning of thumbs up scrolled across his belly. Hang it from the overpasses. Nail it to the trees. Make sure this sucker knows what's going on. Make sure he knows that we know why he's in America. I get that. Somebody road dodging. I like that. Nobody alive today has ever been free. Except for me. I get all that stuff. What I'm saying is the people who came here to get away from the oppression that they were under in their homelands. Now, they were suckered. They were used so that the investors, the corporation who owns everything, could get people on the ground so they could claim possession. They claimed the land, but a claim is empty unless you have possession. So that's why they encourage the people to come here and offer them freedom and the right of property. So I get all that stuff about the freedom, not freedom thing. What I'm saying is it's time, the time has come to run these dogs off our lands. That's what's going on here. We got to get them out of here. We don't have a choice. I mean, anybody that's done any research at all, you don't even have to do research anymore. You're tripping over this stuff. I mean, it's everywhere. Their idea of plausible deniability, calling people conspiracy theorists, and that's over. It doesn't hold water anymore. They used to run, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. You don't hear that much anymore because it doesn't fly. I don't know exactly how fast people are waking up that there's something desperately wrong here, but they're waking up quick. Oh, there goes another one. And another one, and another one, and another one. They're bringing the Pope in. Now up here in Canada, we have this orange group called the NDP. And we have a federal election going on here now, and I told the NDP, I said, I don't know why you're belly aching and running so hard in the Facebook and all over the internet, because the NDP are already slotted to get the go-ahead. And the NDP are readily, they're the NDP, the new socialist group here in Canada, spawned from Tommy Douglas, who just happened to be a member of the Order of Orange. And the NDP colors are orange. And apparently the orange is the only way that a Protestant can get to be a Knight of Malta. So it stands to reason that the media up here is playing up the orange wave and the NDP so much. Now Jack Layton, who was the last leader before he died, got a state funeral. Never won an election. Got a state funeral. What the hell is that all about? Wasn't a leader of a party. I mean, he was a leader of a party, but he never was the head of government here. Got a state funeral. Why is that? Simple. He's a member of the UNPA, the United Nations Parliamentary Assembly. He's a member of the the Socialist International, of which Gro Brundtland, who wrote Our Common Future. She didn't really write it. She was the head of the commission. Really, Morris Strong and Jim McNeil, two Canadians, did most of the writing on it with some help from Rockefeller. And I believe the cover of that book is orange. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's orange. So we've got this orange wave going, which is the third way, of which Tony Blair was a big supporter of, which brings us to I can't say that word, communitarianism, or whatever it is, which is basically what Mussolini said that corporatism is, which is fascism. His description of fascism was that it should rightfully be called corporatism because what it is the melding of business and government. And that's exactly what's going on. And you're going to be under corporate rule. You are under corporate rule. Your country's a corporation, for God's sake. So, excuse me, if you want freedom or you're looking for freedom, you ain't going to find it under the system that we're presently under. And you certainly ain't going to find it under a so-called government that is run by corporations. So we need to get a move on. But I think we could have a lot of fun with this Pope guy. You know, if you look at the history of the Jesuits, it ain't real pretty. They masquerade themselves. I mean, they call themselves, for God's sakes, the Society of Jesus. I mean, is that not kind of like blaspheme or whatever they call that? You know? And the Pope's coming over to comfort the poor and the children. Okay? Because they want to bring in the guaranteed income, the universal guaranteed income. That'll save corporations a fortune. And the corporations will get control of your hospitals. At least up here, corporations already have them in the States. And the corporations will fund your schools, which they've been doing for years, but they've all set themselves up as the benefit corp. Right? Benefit corporations. Corporations benefiting the community. So these are all messages the Pope's going to bring. He's going to bring the message of the environment. He's going to bring the message of global warming and all of these things. I mean, this guy hired, he calls himself a man of Christ. Who he's trying to be or who he's playing is Christ. He's playing the false Christ, which is Lucifer. A lot of people, when Ratzinger was the Pope, go, man, look at this guy. That's one evil-looking dude, man. Well, they're all evil. Okay? They're false personification of Christ. Except they're playing the opposite game. Who? I'm just looking at the chat here. I don't know. I mean, I thought he was not on board with the elite agenda. Who? The Pope? The Pope is the elite agenda. So he's coming to America. Pope never been to America before. How is that possible? And I'd be really surprised if oh God, I can't remember his name now. The White House preacher who's been there forever. I don't know. I think he's still alive. Billy Graham. And if he's not able, his son, who's taken over the business. Oh, Leighton wasn't. Oh, excuse me. People, you got to excuse me. Leighton wasn't part of the elite. Give me a friggin' break. This guy's been kissing their ass for it. There's no political party anywhere that isn't part of the elite. None. You know, same as Carter. I see Carter in here in the chat. Same as Carter. These guys are all players. Or they wouldn't be where they are. It's that simple. You see, when you're elected, you take an oath. In America, they think they take the oath to the United States. Well, the United States is a corporation. To serve and protect the corporation. In Canada, when you're elected, you take an oath to serve the Queen /crown/corporation. And it all leads where? To Rome. All roads lead to Rome, always did. What was the Second World War about? Moving the world order forward. Create the United Nations as the international, where they stew up international law. The World Bank, the IMF are organizations of the United Nations. The World Health Organization is an organization of the United Nations. The FAO, which is your food, is an organization of the United Nations. UNESCO, which is education, is an organization of the United Nations. So as they set up the United Nations in the beginning, what they told you was an organization of like-minded states who would basically police other nations and step in when aggression started. That was the whole plan, and people bought it. I mean, after two world wars, it wasn't a hard sell. That wasn't the plan. We've had nothing but war ever since. The plan was gaining complete and total control over every aspect of everybody's lives on the planet. That's what the United Nations is there for. They've been writing all kinds of treaties and all kinds of international law for a very, very, very long time that people are not privy to simply because your media doesn't tell you. But on the upside, they write everything down, so all you got to do is read it. Who are the elite? I don't know. Ronald McDonald may be one of them. You know, you go back, you really need to go back. All the elite are people who wish to play God. This is this small group of people who believe that they have the power of God and that they have what they really are. I mean, if you really want to understand the elite, if you really want to understand the elite, how these guys think, go watch some old B movies. You know, I mean, said that Kissinger, says like, control the food, control the people, control the oil, control the nation. And this has been told to people again in the movies, them old B movies, forever. You know, you get these mad scientists or these crazy professors that come up with these ideas that, if we could control the weather. I mean, I remember seeing a movie like that. We could control the weather. We can control everything. Every one of these lunatics has a control thing. If we could control this, we can control that. So all the elite are, is if you look at them as the old B movies, they're a bunch of sociopathic psychopaths who are control and power freaks. And so now you got the guy who controls the food, the guy that controls the banks, the guy that controls your health, the guy that controls your education. All could be individual B movies, and they all got together. And they sit at the United Nations. I mean, that's where they put all this crap together. So now you have all the crazy scientists and all the crazy politicians and all the crazy preachers all huddled in these rooms figuring out how to destroy your life for you while they smile at you. Just like that little smile on the Pope's face there. Hi, I'm the Pope. Thumbs up. Signifying the death. The death stroke. This isn't fun and games. This is what it is. And people, unfortunately, are going to, the media is going to play this Pope up, the most important event in who knows how long, or maybe ever, and the media is just going to jump on it. And then, because the Um, and then because the media picks up on it, then the people, most people, are like monkeys, really, and monkey see, monkey do. So it's going to get played up. I'm sure that thumbs up is going to get an awful lot of play, and I'd like to see people play it up before it gets here. You know, and just explain to people what thumbs up actually means. Yeah, Tomato just wrote some stuff in the chat here. Who wrote the actual legislation? He's got Alec in here, Bilderberg, Davos, Bohemian Grove. This is just places where the madmen hang out at, right? That's where they meet each other. I mean, they have these meetings. I mean, if you go through it, you got the Club of 300, the Club of 1,000. It's a very, very small group of people. Oh, good God. I'm sorry, folks, but Road Dodging just put a picture of Ratzinger in here. That is one wicked ass looking dude, man. But anyways, yeah. This is all it all ties together. United Nations, UNEP in Kenya or Kenya. You can tag that to Obama. You can tag the NDP, the Orange Wave, to the Orange Cross, which is the Order of Orange, which has been usurped. It was a Protestant outfit to begin with, but everything's been usurped. And now I was reading there that the only way that you can, as a Protestant, can get to be an order of a Knight of Malta is they have to have been a member of the Order of Orange to start with. Now, we have a politician on the East Coast here who's a member of the NDP. I don't have it in front of me right now. I'll probably post it on a blog or on Facebook just to irritate the NDP supporters a little bit, throw a little more reality at them. But he his family's Dutch, and he immigrated here when he was very, very young, an infant supposedly. And he just got the order, or the Knight of Orange, or the Order of Orange, and he's a NDP MP, and they all wear orange. I mean, put it together. It's not hard to tie it all together. Yes, the Rockefellers did donate the land for the UN building, and it blows me away, that was allowed to happen. I remember when I was a kid, it was always a big deal lighting the Christmas tree, the Rockefeller Christmas tree, and but then their Christmas is pagan anyways. So I mean, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. The Christmas tree is a pagan symbol. You can look at it as a phallus. You can look at it as a spear. You can look at it all kinds of ways, but it's definitely a pagan symbol. Santa Claus, right? The money you spend, it's all created by these guys. Well, that's true. The Rockefellers and Rothschilds, I've read different documents that suggest that the Rockefellers are actually Rothschilds themselves, and they just change their American name. That I can't prove or disprove. Maybe somebody can. But it's just the way it is. Now, why are the Muslims coming here? Well, that apparently, and I haven't probably done maybe as much research as I can, but maybe I can get somebody on that has. I mean, his suggestion is that the that the Islam was created by the Catholic Church or the Vatican. Okay, and why do we have this influx of Muslims into all these Judeo-Christian countries? Simple, got to get rid of God. Simple as that. Can't bring in the New World Order otherwise. And it's getting so bad. There's this, where did I see that story? Maybe I'll do this for the last couple of minutes. Anyways, what I would really like to do is, we're going to do a lot more on this Pope and his Vatican. I have a couple of friends who are severe researchers, and they spend more time looking at the Rome thing than I ever did. These guys know this stuff inside and out. So maybe on Sunday I'll get one of them in, and we'll continue this, and they can, you guys can call in and ask some questions. These guys are severely well-versed on this subject. But we got to out the Pope before he gets to America. That has to get done. If you let that go, well then, you've basically consented. Anyways, here's a story that I see. This is Canada, and this is Greater Toronto region here. A disabled man. So here we have a picture of a white guy. I got to put this in the chat, folks. I have to. Just because it's the right thing to do. And this is in the Toronto Star. And this is a rather sickening story. Disabled man told subsidized housing is for Muslims only. City subsidizes 10 affordable housing buildings that only take residents from a certain ethnic, religious, or cultural group. A young wheelchair user has been taken off the waiting list for a publicly subsidized apartment because he is not a member of the Muslim community that established the building, a practice that, while legal, raises concerns and accommodations for cultural and religious groups could be limiting access to affordable housing. According to a letter that arrived at his mother's house last week, Austin Lewis, 21, was removed from the waiting list at the the Hamajidi Abode of Peace building. Now this guy will do a whole story on. This guy's connected to royal family, not the kid. Okay? Now, I only got a few minutes left, but now you see, if this was a Muslim in a wheelchair, and he went looking for a subsidized apartment, and the apartment was, or the subsidized part of the apartment or whatever, was put up by a Christian group, this story would read a whole lot different. And I don't think I have to explain that to many people. Okay? Now, one of the things that they wish to bring in, and they're doing that through the international laws and that, is bring in Sharia law. They're doing that in England and that. They have certain sections of town which have Sharia law. Now, if you go to a Muslim country and you say, "Wow, I'd just soon have common law." Well, who are you to come to our country and tell us what kind of law you're going to have? And it's exactly what's going on. I mean, it's not even bizarre anymore. Okay, I mean, it's laid down. They have to get rid of the Christian faith to have their world government. Period. So, they build these rules and regulations into these things so that it works for one group and not another group. And it only works for the group that they're promoting. Now, why would the so-called Judeo-Christian society be promoting Muslim stuff? Doesn't make any sense. They put this down as multiculturalism. And multiculturalism is genocide because it destroys the society that was there. So, this is just another. I mean, this is this says here. The mother says they're being given a license to discriminate. It's just wrong, she said. Well, of course it's wrong. Here you have a building for Muslims, and normally that would be discriminatory because of other religions could not be accommodated there. But the human rights says if it's a special interest organization, religious, philanthropic, educational, social, they can discriminate in that way, he said. It's very unfortunate, but that's how the law was written. But then again, that's not a law. These are the bylaws of the corporation called Canada, or in this case, the bylaws of the corporation called Ontario, or the bylaws of the city called Toronto. It doesn't really matter who put them down. But they're nothing more than bylaws. And bylaws are allowed to discriminate. They're not law. When they say this is the way they wrote the law, they didn't write the law. They wrote a freaking corporate bylaw. So I'm very convinced that the people, when they're reading these stories, and they're coming at people so fast and furious now, if, they used to do a story on this or that, maybe once in a blue moon, and it would just kind of blow away, and people, oh, well, that's weird, and they'd go on to the next thing. But this stuff's coming so fast and furious, and often now, that people are asking questions. Like, who is this so-called government working for? And that's a good question, and people need to go find the answer to it. And the answer they will find is that this so-called responsible government that was given to us, how does somebody give you responsible government? How do they do that? Well, that's how they rebrand the corporation, to hoodwink you into the idea that you have some kind of a responsible government. Well, if a kid in a wheelchair at 21 years old is refused because he's white, in what used to be regarded as a white country, that has to get people asking questions. So in that sense, it's a good thing. Read a paper, or don't buy it. Please don't buy it. You read them online. Don't give them any money. They don't deserve it. And, go through something and ask yourself a question. I did the show on Tuesday. I was feeling a little under the weather. And, after, I got thinking about why is that guy, what's with the dog tags? And why is this guy standing there with a thumb up? Well, a little bit of research and I get my answer. And what we did was we had to flip it over to get to the truth. And I hear music already. This is too fast. Anyways, I want to thank the listeners. Let everybody know what thumbs up means. I'll be here on Sunday. I may try and get somebody in to go through this Rome crap a little bit deeper. And so till Thursday, or Saturday rather, everybody take care. Keep researching. Keep talking. Come on.